All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode on The Black Experience, y'all. Welcome back to my podcast, y'all. We are in season 5, and I am grinning and thrilling for today's guest. And first of all, I just want to give a huge shout out to every one of y'all that is listening to this, whether that is on Spotify, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, whatever platform you may be listening to this on or watching. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. And if you're on YouTube, make sure to click that subscribe button and that bell to get notifications on every short and every full YouTube interview that I do. As well as on Spotify, make sure to click that follow button. I appreciate the love, guys. More good things are about to come, and a giveaway is about to come too. So thank you so much for all the love and support. Today, y'all, as usual, I've got a special guest on my podcast. He is a former Garfield High alumni, purple and white, former WW alumni, and he loves to be known as someone who is a responsible, loving human being in person to the people that come across him in his life. Let's put our hands together and let's bring up my good friend, Mr. Jonathan.
What's up?
How you doing, sir?
Oh, man. I am doing just fine. I am so happy to be here. I thank you for having me here. I mean, it's been a while because we had planned to do this,
For so long.
But this is the time. The time is now, and I'm just happy and pleased to be here.
Yeah. I definitely have a vibe and a feeling that you're really good at talking to people, because as I was walking in here, you'd already made a friend that was showing you around.
Hey, man, I can flow like that because I come here like that. I'm talking about the planet Earth.
Yeah.
I come here like that as a little kid, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Jonathan, man, this is something that we've been talking so much about in the brothers meeting. Yeah, one day I'm gonna have you on my podcast. And I was having all the other brothers, Mr. Pratt, Russ Whitby, all these guys, and I was like, it's about time.
Okay.
It's about time. So appreciate you joining me.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I feel likewise.
I already feel that we have a connection because before the podcast, we were talking about the past neighborhoods we were living in, and turns out we both went to Garfield, both went to Leshai.
Crazy. That is so crazy.
It's a small world, huh?
It's small all the time. I just came from Europe in June, and I thought I was going to run into somebody over there. I thought I'd seen some people. I said, hey, you over here too? But
yeah,
man. It's crazy.
You got some family in Europe?
No, I just went on vacation.
Okay.
My wife and I, yeah.
Okay. What parts?
Went to Spain, Portugal, and to Morocco.
Wow.
I wanted to get to the continent.
Yeah.
And that was this particular situation we were in. I was able to get to Africa. That's just the beginning. But
yeah,
that's on the bucket list, and that part of it spilled out. So we've done that. It was very, very interesting time, man. Because I'm kind of like a history buff. So to go and see Portugal, to see how the age of discovery broke off with the Portuguese sailing around the Cape of Good Hope to find India, and next thing you know, they sailing across to South America, and everybody now over there is talking Portuguese.
It's talking Portuguese.
And we know why that is. But to see that and look at the people, see what the people and who they come from, and who these people are, and to see the structures and the culture.
Yeah.
In Portugal and Spain. And then get over to Morocco, man. That was a whole.
Morocco and Spain are almost touching.
They're right. Yeah,
they're right there, right next to each other.
Mediterranean. I mean, it's just boom, pops over.
I used to think Europe and Africa was connected. I was like, are you sure, man?
It might have been a couple of millennia ago, or
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, Jonathan, if you want to kick it off a little bit, because I know a little bit about your background, but if you want to share with the audience about where you grew up and then what life looked like growing up for you.
Okay, well, I'm a native of Detroit, Michigan. I'm very proud of that beginning because, as you know, the D, we don't call it the big D, it's the D. As far as black folks, it was a very, I think, from my perspective, even as a little child, very interesting and great place to grow up in because as a child, I grew up and I seen a lot of black folks. Now, the irony of that is my grandparents moved out to Holly, Michigan, which is like moving from Seattle to Bellingham.
Really?
Or even from Bellingham to Linden. And, you know, I lived in Linden, and it kind of reminded me of Holly. That's another story. But the point being is that here I'm entrenched with a lot of black people. I mean, your insurance agent, your doctor, your dentist, everybody. And then they move out because my grandfather wanted to farm, and they move out to a place that's just like Linden. So I got both of these worlds.
Wow.
But as a little kid, man, I was, you know, because I was the oldest. I'm the oldest of 5 and the oldest of like 35 grandchildren or something like that. So there's a lot of grown people around, and I got to see and hear, and I, you know, seen some things that later on, like, wow, I seen that, you know, like police beating up dudes on the corner, and we didn't live in like a ghetto situation. We lived in a cottage Grove, I believe that is.
Yeah.
Conant Gardens, excuse me. Conant Gardens, working class. Father, he worked at Dodge Bain. Grandfather, he worked at Ford Motor Company. That's why I got, you know, that whole Henry Ford thing. There's a place in my heart for him because one, that $5 a day thing where, you know, he'd start paying minorities and convents so they can come up and work in these factories, and then you had that migration coming out of the South to go do that. And plus my grandfather, I think, if I heard the story right, he was the first black master plumber in Detroit, and he worked for Henry Ford. So yeah, so I got, you know, when I think of Detroit, and here's something else, and I'll move on. But I'm a Detroit Lions fan only because of
Okay.
Believe me, because if I was somewhere else, the Detroit Lions would not. But because of
Because you're from Detroit, though, it makes sense.
And when I see somebody with a hat or some swag on, I go, man, you gotta be from Detroit because you ain't wearing that unless you just like Honolulu blue. But anyway, man, we moved out to Seattle in '62. My father, he got tired of getting laid off from Dodge, Maine. And my mother and father moved us, the 4 of us, out to Seattle. And we lived off of 32nd and Dearborn. That's how I got to go to Leschi.
Yeah.
But first I went to Bailey Gassert.
My 3 younger siblings all went to Bailey Gassert.
Man, you're killing me, man. This is okay. This is not a coincidence. Okay. But yeah, went to Bailey Gassert when we first got there. I turned 8 that October. We got there September the 23rd or something like that. And remember that number because that's when I came to Western. It was the 23rd of September. So that, you know, the numerology or whatever. But I turned 8 that October, and my mother, we were staying with my uncle, and she says, we got to find a house. And that Christmas, we was in another house. We was on 32nd and Dearborn.
Wow.
Looking at Mount Rainier and the floating bridge, which you didn't get that kind of view or whatever. People, because we go to church. My uncle, who was a bishop, he go, how you get a house like that? And I start peeking it in. I was like, man, that ain't the attitude you're supposed to have.
Yeah.
But my mother, she moved, and my father, they moved like that. She goes, if I'm going to move out here, she said, I got to see either some mountains or some water.
Wow.
So, man, be careful what you say because, you know, your words have power.
It might just come true.
Yeah. Be careful.
You guys moved, you said you moved in 62. So I know 62, and I remember this because I was just at the Space Needle because I had family come over. The same year as the World Fair, as well as, you know, I mean, the 60s was a tumultuous time for black people.
Yes.
Describe Seattle and the atmosphere back in the 60s.
Seattle was very proactive. We were trying to come together, like the busing situation. It was mandatory busing. You know, the rest of the country was kind of like having a problem with it. But in Seattle, we were trying to work together, blacks and whites or whatever, within that system to have voluntary busing. And I think it's about, because I bussed out to junior high Woodrow Wilson out by Northgate, my 9th grade. But before that, the voluntary busing thing was in vogue, and we had people like Reverend Samuel McKinney. He was big in the civil rights. He had Martin Luther King come out. I've seen him in real time, man.
Wow.
Yeah, and
how was that?
I'm talking when I seen them in real
It
time.
was like in passing?
Yeah, it was on TV, and we was watching them because they're Baptist ministers, and so Reverend McKinney had them come out for a fundraiser. So he came out, and but at this time, man, we moved to a predominantly white neighborhood. This was in '64, and it was us. The professional boxer Eddie Cotton, for you old heads out there or you boxing fans, you look that up. And we lived in a predominantly white neighborhood, and across the street from us was the 37th district representative. He was a politician and stuff. And there were some things, his wife, when we moved there and stuff, there were some things. But long story short, we all came together and we all played together. But as the 60s moved on, things got real. I mean, things revved up. You just go back in your history or archives, and you'll see like the Black Panthers start up.
Yeah.
And the Dixon brothers, Aaron and Elmer Dixon. I forget the other brother's name. He ran for 37th district.
Yeah. No, I got it though.
Curtis. I forget his name. It's Curtis. Anyway, they formed the Seattle chapter of the Black Panthers, and. I was like 12 and 13 then, and it was a time of I don't want to say it wasn't the indoctrination, but information, because you had Huey P. and Bobby Seals and those guys, and even as a young lad, 13, picking up like, why you call the police pigs, and they would, because a lot of this stuff, police brutality and stuff, we was kind of like we was in a nice neighborhood or whatever. But as we found out, man, it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
And for instance, you would see brothers, man, older brothers, and then you wonder where they went. And so the word on the street was, oh man, they went to New York or Chicago. And later on, when I was in high school, I was in theater, and we went to do a show in Monroe Penitentiary.
Right.
I go, man,
there's that person.
Yeah, man. Dude's got his arm, man. This dude used to be a tough guy. This guy's locked up, I'm junior in high school and I'm seeing this and like, so you got an understanding of the whole school to prison thing and where, guys walking on, didn't get jobs, and you see like people that you knew didn't have really that kind of potential or whatever, just getting these jobs and, flourishing and doing that thing, where I knew people that had that aptitude or whatever, but there was, next thing you know, we resort to crime.
Yeah.
And you looked up to these people, man. I'm going to name certain people because some of them are gone now, but we looked up to the people on the corner and stuff, and for whatever reason, a lot of people ended up like that and, without taking.
So how did you, I guess, manage, because you come from a good family, middle-class family, good neighborhood, but you, obviously, when you go to school, it's all kinds of people coming in from different classes.
Yeah.
How were you able to, I guess, maneuver and make sure to watch the crowd you were hanging out with?
Well, it's funny, man. Really, Seattle at that time, we was all about that education and stuff. Like, it's wild now. Even your turn. What you guys is doing, if somebody brought a knife to school, that was a big deal. You had people that you kind of knew they were into this over here, but you were getting this thing from home that you got to get this education. If quote unquote you need to go to school so you can get a good job, that was hammered on you. And so when there would be a certain element in the school or whatever, you might hang because you thought it was cool, but you knew that you had to do a certain thing. You might dabble. Let's say it like that. You might dabble in some things, but you had to make sure you got your grades up.
Right.
Like I'd always planned to go to college. It's funny, I'm running with people, and I'm telling them I'm getting ready to go to college. You going to college, really? Man, I know that. I think I'll go too. I thought that's what you were going to do, But anyway, you would dabble in stuff, but at the time people were going to church, even if it was for Sunday school. You were going to church. You were raised, man, like T.K. Kirkland. Say, man, who raised you? You got a lot of that going on now. Like, why are you acting out? Where's your home training? Well, we got it. Even the so-called bad kids or whatever. It was a different time then, man. We respected, to a degree, you did respect people in your community. I was just thinking of certain stores or whatever, because even then, we had people in our community that, is taking it out and not giving it back. But,
Yeah.
and they would get done up from time to time. But for the most part, we were very respectful. We were very, very good citizens. I miss that.
Yeah.
I go to Seattle now, and it's like, it's just not even, it's not even my, it's not my
Feels
vibe.
different.
Oh, man, just know how old I am, if that's a thing.
Yeah. So you talked about college a bit, and I mentioned Western Washington University, campus we're on right now.
Yeah.
What initially, because UW, even at that time, was still big.
Yes.
Why did you choose Western?
Western. I wanted to go. See, that's another thing, man. We were at a time where the whole HBCU thing was a big deal. Grambling, Southern, going down south to go to school was what we wanted to do when we got out of high school. The place I wanted to go which is called Tennessee State now. It was called Tennessee A&I, Agricultural and Industrial. And I wanted to go because I had an Aunt Bessie down there, and I figured I could go down there and be instead of being out of state, you'd be
In-state?
yeah, and wouldn't have to pay all that money. My dad says, Bessie's like 82 years old. You ain't going down there and messing her up like that. So anyway, that was my first choice. And then, man, they was handing out, I guess you can call them scholarships or whatever. There was an easy pass to get to places like the UW and the Washington State University.
Wazoo?
Wazoo, yes, Central, Western. I wanted to go to Western because we came up here on a what do you call it? We'll come up here on a visit. And just when we turned that corner, I just come up here when I came to Park, come up where Buchanan Towers is.
Yeah.
And bus and start going up the hill. Now, all that stuff that y'all see down there where Fairhaven and all that, there used to be a parking lot. Where Huxley and all that, man, that was not there. The swimming pool, all that was, I remember there was no sidewalk. I remember we walked, one night we had nothing to do, as students usually do, and we walked, a bunch of girls and guys, we all just got together and just walked down. It was a dirt trail, it was dark. But anyway, when we came up to school and turned that corner, man, I seen how this place was laid out. I said, oh, I'm coming here. Plus, there was the aspiration of maybe playing basketball because they just come off of, they ran to Kansas City and went, I think they lost in the quarterfinal or something like that. But that was an aspiration of mine because UW, that wasn't going to happen because you just, the
competition was too good.
It was too much, man. And I didn't, that's just, let me go somewhere where I think I can. But yeah, I came up here because it was that far away from home, but not too far. And I just there was a vibe about it, man. And this is where I ended up.
Yeah.
I was a pre-law major, history minor, but I dropped out when I was a sophomore, I believe, if I really got going. And because for me, a lot of it was about survival. Because things was going on at home that was, it was just, I'm out here now, And I went down to Georgia Pacific with a friend just to get a summer job. And I told the dude I was reluctant to do it. Because at this time, they were giving out jobs to minorities.
This is the 70s or 60s?
This is the 70s. This is March 22nd, 1974. This man, I won't say he begged me, but he goes, we want you to at least look at it, and if you don't want the job after the summer, you can leave, so on and so forth. The guy I went down with, he needed a job because nothing was popping. I was thinking about either going back to Seattle or try to pursue this ball thing, but I had literally dropped out. So anyway, at the time, they needed a lot of minorities to fill these so-called jobs. Well, Georgia Pacific, in particular, because they couldn't get federal contracts if they didn't have minorities. I'm talking about even then, the gay community, your Asians, your blacks, Indians. I mean, they had them all, and so they had to get that quota in there so they could keep getting that contract. So for one, man, the reason why I take Martin Luther King Jr. Day seriously is because because they would turn you away. There was, I mean, you again, you go down there and they say, "Oh no, we ain't got no jobs," and you just read that they had jobs. You know, that's what I mean about certain people can get in.
Some people don't.
And
Yeah.
some don't, man. Like nepotism. It was, but anyway, yeah. I went to work at Georgia Pacific, and man, that money got good, and it was legal. The lady told me, she said, "You know, you have health care."
Yeah.
And I knew then. I go, so, and I'm still playing ball and stuff, right? I said, so if I sprain my ankle, I can go to the doctor and da da da. She's go, well, yeah, you have medical and you have this, and you know, I never, you know, had that kind of no.
It was like a new world because you never heard these words before.
And I felt grown up, and so I got benefits, and I got this and that. Man, that money started coming in.
Play ball as hard as you want, you know, no matter the injury. It fits you up.
So what y'all doing? You going back to class? I gotta go. I got swing shift. I'm gonna get this money. So anyway, yes, I came to Western, stayed for about 2 years. Then I went to work in the mill for umpteen years, and that's when I thought about it, because when I went to Georgia Pacific, I worked there for years trying to get out. I didn't. I said, this is not what I came up here for. But what I was experiencing was a culture, not so much a culture shock, but I was put in a environment where I'm looking around. I said, these people don't know nothing about me, you know, and I got to see part of that system that normally you don't see. And I says, well, I'm in it. It's good to me. They made it comfortable. It wasn't like working in somewhere in Alabama, or you know, you open your locker, there's a noose or whatever. They were very, I have to say, anybody that's watching this that worked at Georgia Pacific, they would, I don't want to sound like no Dominican, but they were very good to me. But, you know, you would have your episodes of ignorance, this, that, and the other. And I felt I was put in a place where I could, I could help dispel some of these stereotypes.
Stereotypes, about you. But so you mentioned a culture shock there. There was probably even a bigger culture shock coming from Seattle to Bellingham. Or was there not?
Yes and no. No, because I know how to, you know, as far as being immersed in a white, you know, setting, or, you know, Caucasian, non-melanated area, I could deal with that, because some of my friends that I grew up with, so that didn't bother me. The fact that these people were northwest, up into the fourth corner, and they considered Bellingham a big city. So a lot of these cats, you know, they lived out in the county and stuff like that. So that was the culture shock. And I embraced it. I said, man, I don't know nothing about no hunting and fishing, and you got gun toting and this, that, and the other. So I got to hang on with them like that. I remember this one dude, he had a 50 cal machine gun. Roebuck, you want to go out and shoot with us? And I looked at him, dude, he's cool. You know, called him Fast Eddie, redhead dude, man, love him to death. I said, I don't think so, man. I said, I know, I seen on TV how y'all get to going, you know, like Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
You know, what's the whatever that movie was that made him a star?
Mission Impossible?
No, it was Taps.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, you should check that out. This is because he ends up anyway. He gets behind a gun. He goes, man, this is so cool, man. He kind of goes off, and he gets shot. But anyway, I said, nah, man. I said, y'all get to feeling a certain way. I said, it was an accident. I said, nah. And I didn't even play with guns. I didn't do that. But I'm around these folks that have a whole different. I just immersed myself in their culture to a degree, and still kept my man. I come to work with my bell bottoms on and my fro. I meant to bring a picture, but I said, man, don't be too obtrusive.
You should have brought a picture. Were you with your fro?
Oh, dude, man. Jermaine Jackson had nothing on this cat. Well, man, I was still me, you know. I wear my platforms and stuff. Like after I get out of my work gear, I have my car and stuff, or I have somebody come down and pick me up. And who's that? I go, never mind, man. That's, you know, you do you, I do me. And so anyway. But I was still trying to get out of there. And what finally made me stay is gotten the family way. And I got married first. I didn't have kids all over. I got married. And then it just dawned on me one day when my daughter, and Janae and LaRon was born. I says, I got to do this because they got to have health care, this, that, and the other. And by that time, I had moved up in certain areas, and I just went for it.
Well, I gotta ask you because again, you grew up in a time. Well, this is something I've always thought about because even at the brothers meeting we were talking about this. But I was like, what decade? Because I go on Facebook and I see those posts where people are always saying the good old days, the 60s, 70s, before whatever time they come from. Do you have a certain decade that you will always be like, this is the best decade in my opinion?
Well, I have to say, this. Well, I would say this one because this is the one I'm living in. But from a historical or reflective thing, it was the middle '60s, like I call it my playground years. 64, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, hooping. Going to the drugstore, man, getting your soda pop and Bluebell barbecue potato chips and Sunny Jim pop. I know I'm dating myself. Going around the corner, man, seeing what the Black Panthers doing, or we're playing football on the football field and they come in because they got to do their military exercises. And so we just respectfully go off to the side and watch them do their thing. And it was a time and then we had a black theater that I ended up joining that was in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
That was in the 70s. So that late part of the 60s, and then coming up to Western, and I know she got in the questions, the whole disco thing. And
Disco 70s.
The club. Let me tell you about disco, man. I'm a funketeer. I'm a George Clinton, James Brown guy. It's on the one. That whole disco thing, man, it was cool, but I could not do that kind of ballroom dancing. It was about clubbing. There was, certain music or whatever, but I never bought into, disco. Yeah, let's,
No?
It's like, man, it's on the one.
There we go.
Yeah, George, So,
Electric slide?
electric slide, that's just one of them things, man. I still can't do, I think I could do the electric slide. I got enough rhythm that if everybody's doing it, I could do it.
You can do it too.
But
yeah.
We did a thing called, it was a line dance, and it was just like the electric slide. So we did, you ever heard of Graham Central Station? Larry Graham?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No doubt about it. Y'all look up that album, The Jam, and Water, that song. Man, we used to kill that.
That one, and then I always see on YouTube Soul Train.
Yeah.
Where people would be like on the sides, and then it would be like almost like a line dance where they would come in and
and when you party, you would go, okay, let's do the Soul Train line there. Everybody just back up and you just come on down and do your thing. But the 70s, the whole club thing, that was cool. Bellingham, they were known as I don't know if Western's still known, they were known as a party school. But we kept it up here on the hill. We didn't go down in the, I wasn't down in the city until I worked down there. And we had Good Time Charlie's, the Ram, they had the Alpine, that's where
so many spots.
Yeah, and you could just, I can't think of them now. But anyway, those are the spots we went to. And there were some brothers, a brother by the name of Kenny Madison, and the DJ down at the Ram, he used to be the executive, county executive, Pete Crimmin. You never heard of Pete Crimmin?
I've never heard of Pete.
Okay, Sat Paul took his place. Pete Crimmin's been the county executive for forever, but he used to be a DJ back in the day. And so what you'd have to do, man, a lot of times, like the club thing was cool, but you wanted to go and dance. That's what we like to do, dance. I don't know what y'all do now. You wait for somebody to shoot it up or something or whatever,
Yeah.
Or I talk to other people.
I get on there and I start dancing.
To me, that's what it was about.
That's what I do too.
So Pete, man, Kenny talked to him and said, man, can we just have Thursdays to where we just play, that you play our music? Yeah. And so we did some things like that. Yeah. But mostly we partied up on top of the hill, man. We got it done up here. But
when I stepped on the scene to Western in 2019, well, I mean, I lived on the north side. I lived in Nash Hall, 324, baby. And the north side was and still is probably well known more to be more of the party central side compared to the south side of campus.
Upper campus?
Upper campus.
Okay, Ridgeway and all that, yeah.
Ridgeway,
Yeah.
Ridgeway's on a different level
Really?
of craziness. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's always stuff going on there, but
Okay.
north side was definitely more active. And then last year I just lived here on the south side of campus, which is way more chill because you have actual families and not just college students.
Oh, okay, right.
That live there.
Right. I lived in the Higginson Hall. I was one of the Higginson hustlers. And then we moved to Bucky Towers. Yeah, man.
Okay. I had a roommate, and we used to always fight as to whether Nash Hall or Higginson looked better from the outside. And I would always represent Nash because I would say, Higginson, cool. You guys have your own bathroom. It's not like community bathroom, but it looks like a motel in my opinion. The first time I saw it.
Frank Lloyd Wright built. I don't know. I'm a cape from my dorm. But no, we had the same arguments. We had that, and you guys, Mathis, because it was all girls then, and then you had Nash that they had. I think it was co-ed, but you guys had the better eclectic looking.
Yeah. The little study lounge.
Yeah.
And we had a study lounge each floor too.
Right. I used to get up in them cubby holes and try to get away from everybody so I can do this, get my American history learn on or whatever. Just to because I forget it was the top floor. I can't remember if
The 7th floor.
Yeah, it was
with the roof.
Yes.
They closed that off because we were trying to get in and take a look at it, but it was like they closed it off.
Man,
yeah.
And it was. You really went up there, no shenanigans. You went up there, man. They knew when you went to the 7th floor, you were going to study. So,
yeah.
But we played that. I just walked up from where I parked. The basketball hoop is still there.
Oh.
And you have the girls looking at you from Mathis Hall. In fact, my future wife was up in the window.
Every time you put up a shot, you just got to go in, huh?
Yeah. You know how it is when you cheerlead. Yeah, anyway.
Wow. I want to transition a little bit to basketball because we mentioned it a little bit in fragments. I mean, you grew up in a time watching Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem, Michael Jordan, Bird, all the way to now with LeBron, Kobe.
Yeah.
I mean, how has the game been evolving? Made you feel, and what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, that's interesting. I had an uncle, Big D Davis. He played with Chamberlain when he played with the Globetrotters. And my uncle went to a Persian high school in Detroit, and they were city champs. And if you know your history, Spencer Haywood went to Persian. What's my boy from Atlanta? God, I could see him. Anyway, John Brisker. A lot of people come out of Persian. Anyway, he played with Chamberlain when Chamberlain was playing with the Globetrotters. And the reason why I bring that story up like that is because back in the day, the NBA wasn't the thing. It was the Globetrotters. Or it was, even back before that, it was what's it called? The New York Renaissance, the Wrens. They were all black basketball teams. So you have to realize that, when we was coming up, the NBA was not the thing. It was the Globetrotters. And then in '66, I believe, you had, Texas Western with the first team that start 5 blacks, and they played against Kentucky.
I did not know that.
What's my boy's name, man? The court is named after him in Kentucky, but he was saying there's no way 5 black dudes could beat his All-Americans, because they don't play ball the right way. And there was a Bobby Joe. God, I can't think of his last name. Bobby Joe. Anyway, he ran the point for the West Texas guys. And I remember as a little kid watching that game. I was watching it with my older cousins, black and white, and everybody sitting around the TV. And I didn't know that it was that big of a deal. Yeah. But you look back at the NCAA championships, West Texas, and the first one, I think one of the first plays was, man, I know these names, but I haven't thought about them in a long time. But the big brother, he dunked on them. And it was like, this is how this game is going to go. And Bobby Joe, he was from Detroit. And the whole thing was predicated on, man, these guys, you could play playground ball, but it was well coached. Right. And there's a movie about it. And, oh, man, somebody knows what I'm talking about out here. They'll get
Yeah.
back to you.
And this is research I'm doing afterwards.
Yes, and when it clicks to me, I'll email you. But yeah, the NBA wasn't the thing. College basketball. I mean, we had Elgin Baylor played for Seattle U. He helped them win a championship. A lot of people don't know about that. In fact, I was coached in the boys club league by a guy that was coached by Elgin Baylor. Elgin, he told the guys, these guys played for Garfield. These were older guys. And Elgin taught them how to be, like how to wear their hair, how to conduct yourself. And the reason why I bring that up, because if you look at Elgin Baylor and Jerry West, who's the stars for the Los Angeles Lakers, he was that guy, man.
Yeah.
The man with 1,000 moves. He was Julius before Julius and Michael before Michael. But yeah, that whole NBA thing, watching Chamberlain, Bill Russell, and compared to the game today, I can't do that, man, because each decade has their thing. But the players will tell you, my boy is Julius Winfield Irving, hands down. I mean,
He's your GOAT?
And then he learned it from what's my boy? He played for the Phoenix Suns. Connie Hawkins, the Hawk. The Hawk was so good, man, that a ball would be going out of bounds and he could palm it like that.
Palm it right here and grab it.
So when you see Julius come up and dunk on
The cradle.
Yeah, a cradle it like this,
Like a baby.
Or when
yeah.
he dunk on what's my boy Bill? He just died. Bill Walton.
Bill Walton, yeah.
That Portland game when the Philly played Portland
In the finals.
Yes, that was, they call it the street players against the pass first or whatever. But we knew the doc, man. I said he gonna dunk on these, and so he had this thing where you have him, but he cock it and then throw it down.
And then he goes around. He was, because Michael Jordan modeled his game.
I was going to say Michael would tell you, Money would tell you that. He says I got it from Julius. I wanted to be like Doc.
But Michael, in my opinion, was something else.
Michael's on. You know what? I'm gonna say this. I'm not a Michael Jordan hater. I don't care. I don't have nothing on that jump. I got one piece of jump man equipment at home. But Michael, he's crazy.
He's crazy.
He's crazy, and I say that endearingly. But you have to be on that level of any kind of. You think of any greatness, man. That dude's crazy. Or what's the dude that invented the light bulb? Oh, he's crazy. He thinks he can just make air, incandescent light. Or Henry Ford. He think he can just do it. And man, you got to be at the level where he's at. And he said the reason why I don't coach, he says I couldn't coach because my emotions and the way I look at the game. He said these guys couldn't handle it.
And when the documentary came out, The Last Dance, he was telling people in interviews, he was like, a lot of people are going to think I was a bully because of his leadership style was very rough and very aggressive and cussing and just like, a lot of people would take it as bullying, but that was just the way he did it, and it worked. 6 championships later.
Dude, that's the cost of success. I mean, when you take it over to parenthood or whatever, man, this hurts me more than it hurts you. And or you got to do that 10 more times. I remember Joe Jackson when Jackie came back. He said you got to go out there and take them bricks off, them cinder blocks, and put them back. That whole you want to be great, you want to be this. Well, you got to pay the price. So yeah, man, the whole game. I won't say it's hard for me to watch now. I don't watch a lot of pro sports now just because of the. And this is decades ago for me. I got tired of just, we own the playing field. And like Baba Dick Gregory said, they asked him, what do you think about the football players? He said, man, they're just slaves. He said that's a cotton field down there. And he says, you got the coaches on the sideline are just overseers.
What?
Yeah, he said it like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did he get fired for that?
No, Dick Gregory. Where'd you gonna fire him from? You know who Dick Gregory is, right? Yeah. But they just asked him, and he talked about entertainers and athletes. He says, I know, because here's the deal. And when you look at it like that, man, we're out there. Them players come and go. We're all about that entertainment. You got these coaches who they make them seem like without them, these guys can't do that, and they won't even allow us to coach ourselves. But here's the bottom line. I got tired of, I mean, not tired of what? I love sports. I love the competition and the greatness and the flair that we bring to the game or whatever. But here's the deal. At the end of the day, yeah, you're paying Mike, well, even Mike, it was paying him $6 million. He's making that $30 million from Hanes underwear and ballpark
From
franks.
Nike and all that, yeah.
Yeah, but who was making the millions and billions of dollars? The owners. So I told myself, I says, look, I'm gonna be a fan of, like, I'm loving Magic Johnson right now because he's an owner. I'm loving what LeBron does. Anybody can play basketball, but what he's doing off the court, I'm loving that. I don't get into the Bronny thing. Yeah, it'd be cool to see him and his dad. I mean, that's, but man, here it is. This is where I'm going a long ways around. I want to see that we own the playing surface, even golf, even swimming. I think it was a Sydney Olympics where there was a
Black swimmer?
Melanated woman, and she did the sprint. Go figure. And she killed it. She got a gold medal. Because I was always leery about us in the water like that. I always knew we could swim and stuff, a.k.a.
Well, there's that stereotype that black people can't swim.
So. Not only can we dive, we can swim, the golf, the tennis, we own the playing surface. What the last frontier for me is management, ownership, and that's where I'm at right now. So when I do watch sports, it's like, yeah, hey, man, what do you think about the so-and-so? Man, you know, well, so-and-so. Like, I'm a Detroit fan, right? When Barry Sanders retired. Oh, man, what do you think about Birds? I said, man, every man should decide his life on his own auspices. And they said, well, you owe us $7 million. I love Barry Sanders. He said, here, you can have it back. He said, I'm tired of being put out here like a circus monkey. You won't put a team around me and stuff. He said, I can't do this no more.
Yeah.
And my boy, Megatron, same thing. But you have to realize, man, in that whole entertainment, that whole entertainment thing, man, we don't run none of that. And it's, that's my opinion.
Looking at the black plight and looking at, I mean, because you grew up in a crazy time and you've seen the changes, Civil Rights Act, and we've come a long way. Where would you see, like, if you looking out into the future now, where would you like to see us black people as, like, what's the next step for us to getting better and better and keep improving, keep taking those next steps?
It's funny you say that because I talked to our barber a lot, and it's education. And when I mean education, they always say, education, they just throw it out there. Well, we need more education. We need more education. Black folks need to learn not only who they are, but who they really are. And when you find out who you really are and what you are, it all starts with you for real. This is no Timbuktu's a real place. The Great Rift Valley where they find the oldest, that's us. When you grasp onto that kind of knowledge and realize that these here, I just call it America, the United States, that to me is it's a legal enterprise as far as I'm concerned, because we wasn't supposed to be here. But understand something. This is just as much ours as anybody's. And when I say we built America, not on those movies where you just see us picking cotton. We ran the households. My son taught his son how to be a carpenter, how to be a blacksmith. We done all of that. This is ours. And when you, as young black folks, or black folks, period, start educating yourself on what and who we really are, and here it is. It all ends up being about humanity. I'm unapologetically black, and I have a non-melanated wife, but the point is, it's about bringing that humanity together. Once this country understands that really they can't do nothing without us, because I talked about the sports, I talked about the entertainment. Turn on your TV on Sunday or Monday and try to watch some football without us on it. Try to watch some basketball, even hockey.
You can't.
You can't. Oh, yeah, for all you hockey fans, read Black Ice about Nova Scotia, about the invention of hockey. We in it all, man. So to answer your question without going all, keep finding out who you are. And not only who you are, but knowing that you are valued. And stop turning inward that whole violence that that anti-black to each other. This whole thing, like I ain't been keeping up with the Kendrick Lamar, what's the boy's name? Drake. See, that's
that whole
like
thing.
I said, I'm a James Brown, Temptations, man. That's the stuff they all doing. I get it, or whatever.
Yeah.
But we got it. While we're looking at that in a podcast, these boys is over here, 20, 25, plotting to put you in another, dulo twist, as they say. So I see that young black folks, along with working class whites, even the poor people, not just because they got us thinking it's just black folks is just once we get together, and we did it. That's why they killed my man in Chicago. He's a Black Panther, Fred Hampton, because he went out to Cicero and got with these guys, the Rainbow Alliance, and there were a bunch of white dudes, and they was bringing this. And my point is, the common man was bringing it together. Anytime in our history, in American history, when the common man gets together to go against that 1%, that's when they have issues and they push back. So I guess my point is, when black folks, it always hinges on us. Yeah. We're the one. I mean, the Civil War. It wouldn't have been. It wouldn't if you hadn't got the 51st Infantry in there out of Boston, Massachusetts. It would have, man.
It's a lot of black excellence.
Yes, because they fighting for their freedom. Everybody said, "Oh, they fighting for America." That's not they wasn't. Oh, like Francis Scott Key. I said, "No, man, they fighting." The British was offering them the same thing, man. You come over here to fight with us, we'll give you freedom. That's why when they sang the national anthem, I have to go, man, why don't y'all look at the third stanza where this man, Francis Scott Key, who owned slaves, in that song, says death to us and put us in the grave.
Really? Okay.
Francis Scott Key. He's the one that wrote the Star Spangled Banner. Read the third verse. Wow. It talks about us like I can't, man, I'm paraphrasing it terribly, but it says something about like us and the slaves that did may they go into the grave, so on and so forth. This is in that song that y'all, we doing. And I'll tell you something, and get back to your question. Jackie Robinson said, I'll never salute the flag or say the Pledge of Allegiance. He said, I can't do that. And you have to read his book to, aside from the obvious,
absolutely
understand why, because, he did what he did. And, but if we can get ourselves together, and I truly believe this with my whole chest, that this country, we would flourish. But if we don't, and we let them keep doing these things they do, thinking that they are superior, and when I mean they, I'm talking about the people that really got their hands on the gears to make to make things.
The movers and shakers, pretty much. Yeah.
But here's the deal, and you might want to take a page out of Reverend Barber's book. If you, and this is why they killed King, because he was coming to Washington D.C. with the Poor People's March. Now Reverend Barber already did this back in June, and he's going to do something else when they get to the Democratic convention. But here's the deal, man: you got poor workers that work. I mean, you got in every county in this country, people don't make enough money to have a 2-bedroom apartment. That don't make no sense.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
So when you bring the masses together like that, white and black, and go against what is really going on out here, which people running the game on you, telling some people that have been here for 3,000 or 4,000 years are immigrants illegally coming into this country, and they've been in Mexico forever. I've seen the temples. I'm like, wow, man.
It's a whole nother thing.
Yeah,
it's a whole nother thing. Jonathan, I want to transition as we're kind of nearing the end. And I've learned so much from you. This has been so good. But tell us a little bit about what life looks like for you today, kind of what you're up to today, and I guess what drives you, what wakes you up in the morning? What's your why?
Okay, what wakes me up in the morning is that I am, first of all, blessed to be, still here on this earth, healthy, got my mind. I mean, I'm retired now. I'm able to do some things. If it's just nothing, I wouldn't be able to do this if I was still working. Even I was working the job I was working, which I really love, which I retired from, which was working out at the Lummi Reservation at their early learning. I was there, and I worked at the Lummi Nation schools and Lummi Business, Indian Business Council. I'm retired. The wife and I, we can travel. I get up every day. I'm at a point now. I've been retired for 2 years, and the brother thing, this community, the whole mentoring young people, or like the school district thing where kids, they're going to school and they're still. To me, it's just, we still doing this. Oh, he called me a nigger, woo, woo, woo. And the kid is going home, don't want to go to school, depressed, and won't eat this, that. That's just one of the things. But I want to get more into community involvement.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to see what that looks like. And along with my mentor, Bernard, when I say learn about ourselves, man, I tell you, every day when I'm reading, or even this whole technology of this podcast thing, man, it's incredible. Now, mind you, you gotta. Oh, I can't. No, this ain't. No, y'all ain't saying that right. But you can see stuff, and then you'll go back and read to make sure that is viable, and then you'll roll with it. But the information is so right there. But that's what I do with most of my time, man. I have crafts. I build model cars and stuff like that. I go back to stuff I did when I was a kid.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Man. And I know you just touched on mentorship a bit, and kind of talking about with barbershop with Bernard and everything. But to wrap it up, and for those of you guys who made it to this point, you guys are in the deep end of the podcast, and you guys are about to get the best of it, the icing on the cake. Mr. Jonathan, what advice would you give to the younger generation today?
Don't lose hope. You are the hope. Respect your elders. I know we didn't do, that good of a job, but I've been your age. You haven't been mine. So when somebody, even if he or she is an old fool, you learn something from it. But respect your elders. Respect yourself. And always be ready to learn something. Be humble. And love the life you live. Because it's on this old Kool and the Gang song. Love the life you live so you can live the life you love. I kind of live like that. And just be, like my grandfather would say, love everybody.
Yeah.
And this is a man who come here from his mother was raped by an overseer. He's a sharecropper. He was born in 1895. And if anybody have any reason to have some, and I say it like that because this is the most, and you had on your questions, who are my people I respect. It would be my grandfather, because I watched this man just humble and just be blessed. And from watching him work, I remember him telling me that, I asked him, I said, what man you scared of? You afraid of any man? He said, the only man I'm afraid of is a man that don't work. And so that I didn't realize it at the time, just a kid. And then as I got older, I seen why. And choices, that's the other thing. Young people, make good choices. Take control of your mind. Remember, whatever you put in here is a seed. If you plant a bad seed, you're going to get sticker bushes. You might get sticker bush with a rose, but the point is, plant good seeds. Capture your thoughts. Make sure that they're good thoughts. Make sure they're good intentions, but make sure your choices, and mind you, you're going to make bad choices. This is a mistake. Own up to it, ask forgiveness where it's supposed to be, and keep moving forward. What happened this last hour, I can't relive that. I got to look forward. So that would be my advice to young folks. I know there's some other stuff I could probably go on and on, but that to me is important. Respect.
That's amazing. Yeah. Respect your elders and so much more. And you also said respect yourself too, and that's
tantamount.
That's important too.
That is very important,
man,
because that's the way you'll make it, because I've seen people because of a decision.
Yeah.
It almost happened to me. I almost died in a car wreck. I drove a car into some water.
Wow.
And if I'd have just bumped my head, I wouldn't be here. But
wow.
the grace of the ancestors or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, point being is that it's just like that. It dawned on me. I was like, man,
you never know.
This ain't I don't have no dying music. Da, 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 da. I was like, man, it changed. That was one of them changing points. I was like, oh, okay.
Can happen anytime.
Yeah.
Can happen anytime. Yeah. Mr. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us. This has been beautiful. I hope you guys enjoyed this awesome episode. Again, if you're listening, watching, whatever it is, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for making it all the way out to the deep end to get the advice question. I love ending it that way. But without further ado, y'all, stay tuned for more awesome episodes as we continue in season 5. Until next time, guys, peace. What's up, y'all? Thank you so much for tuning into that video. Make sure to click that subscribe button down below as well as that bell to get notified on every new video and short coming in the future. And check out the description down below to get links to my podcast that is now featured on both Apple Podcasts, Spotify, this YouTube channel, and my Instagram down below. And as always, until next time, guys, peace.